lepo je vratiti se nazad.
So we had a wonderful trip to the United States.
Imali smo divno putovanje u Ameriku.
And of course, this is why we went. So
Zbog ovog smo išli.
we have the cutest grandkids.
Najslađa unučad.
You can all say yes.
Vi treba da kažete da.
And then I know if you have grandchildren, you're going to be like, no, mine are cuter. So
Vi ako imate unučad, vi ćete reći nema. Naravno da su moji slađi.
we had a really good trip. So
Stvarno nam je bilo lepo.
Today we're going to talk about the mystery and details.
Danas ćemo govoriti o misteriju u detaljima.
Why are details important?
Zašto su detalji bitni?
Why is it important for us to understand the big and the little details?
Zašto je bitno da razumemo male i velike detalje?
And details are important to understanding the Lord.
Detalji su bitni to understand the Lord.
Understand the Lord.
Detalji su bitni da bi razumeli Gospoda.
So we're going to start off by talking about stairs.
Tako da počet ćemo od toga da ćemo pričati o stepenicama.
I know you're wondering how does this relate to God, but just go with me.
Znam, verovatno se pitate, a kakve ovo veze ima sa Bogom? Ali budite strpljivi samo.
We take stairs for granted.
Mi stepenice uzimamo zdravo za gotovo.
They get us from one level to another level.
One nas odnesu od jednog nivoa do drugog nivoa.
They help us to transition through a building or a space.
One nam pomognu da pređemo iz jednog prostora u drugi prostor.
So for 15 years, I worked in an architectural office.
Ja sam 15 godina radio kao arhitekta.
Before we moved overseas.
Pre nego što smo se preselili u Bugarsku.
I have a lot of experience drawing and detailing stairs.
Ja imam puno iskustava u crtanju stepenica do najsitnijih detalja.
And stairs are much more complicated than you think.
I stepenice su mnogo komplikovanije nego što možda to mislite.
So this is a picture of a drawing.
Ovo je slika, nacrta. Hvala.
It's 101 centimeters by 81 centimeters is the size of the paper that it's drawn on.
Ovaj papir je velik metar sa
101 by 81.
To je metar sa 80 centimetara. 100 centimetara sa 80 centimetara. Papir, samo papir velik.
Really big sheet of paper.
Jako velik komad papira.
And there's a lot of information on here.
I ima jako puno informacija na ovom papiru.
It's got floor plans, it's got building sections.
Ima nacrta nivoa, stepenica i svašta nešto.
And I don't expect you to understand all of it.
Ja ne očekujem da vi sad razumete sve na ovom crtežu.
But I do, because I've had experience with it.
Ali ja razumem ovde što je na ovom crtežu.
And nobody in architecture likes to draw stairs.
I verujte mi, niko u arhitekturi ne voli da crta stepenice, to jest da pravi nacrt stepenica.
They're complicated.
Veoma su komplikovane.
They're tedious.
Naporne.
And nobody likes doing it.
Niko ne uživa u tome da crta stepenice.
If I had someone in my office that could work on my project for 2 days,
ako bi došao neko u moju kancelariju ko može da radi na nekom projektu 2 dana, recimo,
I would always give them the stairs to work on.
Ja bi im uvek dao da rade stepenice.
Because it would probably take them like 2 days to draw all of this, to figure it out.
Otprilike bi im sigurno trebalo makar 2 dana da sve ovo nacrtaju kako treba.
And they get even more complicated.
I stvari mogu postati još komplikovanije.
We have to figure out the dimensions of them.
Treba da provalimo, da dođemo do dimenzija stepenica.
We have to figure out the different steel that you need to use in order to support the stairs.
Treba da dođemo do zaključka koja vrsta materijala ili čelika treba da se koristi da bi moglo da drži ove stepenice.
You have railings, you have treads, you have risers. It's all this stuff.
Zatim ograda, pa drška na ogradi, jako puno detalja tu ima.
On top of trying to figure out how to design the stairs,
Sad, povrh toga što treba da provalimo kako da dizajniramo ove stepenice,
we also have code books that we have to follow, rules,
imamo i knjigu pravila kojih moramo da se držimo.
in order to build a stair properly and to safety standards.
Tako da bi stepenice bile napravljene unutar zakonskih propisa.
So this is from what's called the International Building Code.
Ovo ovde što vidite je izvučeno iz što zovemo internacionalni pravilnik za izgradnju.
And is one of several code books that we have to use in order to design stairs.
I to je samo jedna od knjiga pravila koju moramo da poštujemo dok dizajniramo stepenice.
Does it have a laser?
No, but
Okay.
even if there is, but it doesn't work on
Okay.
displays.
So, like, we call the part that goes up and down, that's called the riser.
Riser?
Riser,
What part that goes up and down?
the flat part of the stair.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have the tread and you have the riser.
Ok, imamo, znate kako idu stepenice, ovako, pa ovaj vertikalni deo. Imaju naziv za, znači, aj zvaćemo ga vertikalni deo stepenice.
And according,
Kako? Visina stepenice, da.
and according to this code, it has to be around 102, let's see, it says 102 millimeters, 102 millimeters to 178 millimeters high.
Treba da bude otprilike između 100 i kusur do 170, 80 i kusur milimetara. Evo, Ivan kaže da kod nas isto ima pravilo nekih 180 milimetara treba da bude.
And so why is it important to have all the stairs the same?
Zašto je bitno da svaki stepenik bude iste visine?
Have you ever tried walking up stairs like these?
Da li ste se ikad pokušali penjati na ovakvim stepenicima?
You know, where
Vidite,
you're
nisu
like walking
nisu iste
along and
visine.
then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know.
Ideš i jedan put, skoro padneš jer nije iste visine.
Or if you're walking upstairs and one is just a little bit taller and you like trip.
Penješ na stepenici i onaj posljednji stepenik možda je malčice višli i udariš i u vrh i spotakneš se.
All right, so that's why we have codes to try to keep these all the same.
Zato imamo te pravilnike da bi osiguralo da se ne dešava da se mi spotaknemo u stepenik.
So like in here, if one is different, one stair is different.
Kao na ovoj slici, ako je jedan stepenik drugačiji,
you either step really hard or you trip when you go
ili
up
ćeš
it.
da napraviš prevelik korak ili ćeš praviti premali korak i možeš pasti.
So this is why we have all of these rules or codes in which to follow.
I zato su nam potrebni ovi pravilnici.
To build them safe.
Da bi stepenice bile bezbedne.
Just go with me. I'm almost done with this part.
Imajte još malo strpljenja, sa mnom skoro sam završio s ovim delom.
So the other thing that we have handrails, right?
I imamo i drugu stvar na stepenici, svaki stepenici imaju te, kako se zove, rukohvate.
And again, we just kind of take them for granted.
I mi i te rukohvate uzimamo zdravo za gotovo.
We have what's called their supports that go up between the stairs that are called balusters. Balusters.
What support?
The little lines in between.
Rešetke, but
Yeah.
on the guardrail or in the stairs itself?
No, in the railing. Yeah.
Znači, na ogradi imamo te šipke koje drže taj rukohvat.
And when you see this, there's a dimension, it says 4 inches maximum, which is again 102 millimeters.
Sad imate tamo gde govori koliko maksimum može da bude razmak između dve šipke na ogradi. 102 mm otprilike.
So these little supports that go up the handrail
Znači imamo te šipke što drže rukohvat.
Are 102 millimeters apart maximum.
Maksimum 102 mm širine, razmak između šipki.
Does anyone understand why we need to do that?
Da li razumete zbog čega to mora da bude tako? So the kid doesn't...
We don't, yeah. Basically, so a child doesn't fall through the stair.
Zbog čega je to? Da ne bi se dete moglo provući i pasti sa stepenica.
Their head cannot fit between this space.
A njihova glava ne može da stane u ovaj razmak.
Now, as an adult, this makes sense to us, right?
Kao odrasle osobe, nama ovo ima smisla, je li tako?
Do you think a child understands why that has to be 102 millimeters?
Da li mislite da malo dete razume zbog čega to treba da bude 102 mm maksimum razmaka?
No.
Ne.
And this is similar to our own walk with Christ.
I ovo je slično našem hodu sa Hristom.
Oh, sorry. Because as a young follower of Christ, we don't always understand some of his rules.
Kao mladi Hristovi sledbenici, mi ne razumemo sve te pravilnike.
We don't understand that this rule is for our safety.
Mi ne razumemo ovo pravilo je zarad tvoje bezbednosti.
As a child, they may think this just prevents me from going over the stair.
Kao deca, oni misle, ovo me sprečava da ja sad tu prolazim.
As an adult, we understand it's so that they don't fall and hurt themselves.
Kao odrasle osobe mi razumemo ovo je da se ne bi povredili.
So there's all of this work that goes into designing and building stairs to be safe.
Znači, ima jako puno posla i rada koji se ulažu u to da bi dizajnirali jedne stepenice.
So you can walk up and down a building safely.
Tako da bi na bezbedan način moglo da se krećeš vertikalno kroz zgradu.
So this is all very interesting, right?
I ovo je interesantno, ne?
I know.
Ili nije?
Nobody has fallen asleep yet, so this is a good thing.
Niko još nije zaspao, ne vidim da je neko zaspao, tako da ovo dobar znak za sada.
So we're going to talk now about a few of God's rules or details.
Želim sad da govorimo onda o nekoliko Božih pravilnika i detalja.
And this here is the Ten Commandments. We all know the Ten Commandments?
So this year, what?
This picture.
Oh,
sorry.
this picture.
Yeah, sorry.
Ova slika ovde, verovatno svi prepoznajete, to je 10 zapovesti. Na engleskom, da.
We probably memorize them maybe when we're younger.
Možda kad smo bili mlađi, ako smo išli u crkvu, naučili smo ih napamet.
So we're going to focus on just one of these 10 commandments.
I fokusirat ćemo se samo na jednu od ovih 10 zapovesti.
And it's tell the truth.
I to je govori istinu.
Do not lie.
Nemoj da lažeš.
So why is it important to tell the truth?
Zašto je bitno da govorimo istinu?
No, I think we all kind of know, but why?
Otprilike imamo neke ideje u vezi toga, ali zašto?
So Proverbs 14, 7 through 9. Do you want to read that?
Proverbs 14, 7 to
9.
Izrek je 14, 7 do 9. So go away from the man without the brain, wisdom. Okay. Idi od čoveka bezumna, jer nećeš upoznati usne što zbore znanje. Mudrost je pametna čoveka u tom što pazi na svoj put, a bezumnička ludost prevara je. Luđacima je greh šala, a milost Božja sa poštenima. Just to make sure that we are on a good... Is this there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're good. Thank you. So why don't we lie?
Zašto ne lažemo? Zašto ne treba da lažemo?
Do we not lie because God says don't lie?
Da li ne lažemo zato što Bog kaže da ne lažemo?
Do we just follow it because God says so?
Da li sledimo to samo zato što Bog to kaže?
Is that enough of a reason to understand?
Da li je to dovoljan razlog?
I think what's important is to understand God's heart behind why he says do not lie.
Ja mislim da je bitno da razumemo Božje srce iza toga kad on kaže nemoj da lažeš
or to communicate, to tell the truth.
ili govori istinu.
Because when you lie, a problem occurs.
Jer kada lažeš nastaju problemi.
Sorry, there we go. Did it go? Trust is broken.
Dolazi do kraha poverenja.
If I were to lie to you, you would not trust me.
Ako ja lažem tebi, ti meni više nećeš verovati.
If you were to lie to me, I might not trust you.
Ako ti lažeš meni, ja tebi više neću verovati.
And this is very important.
I ovo je veoma bitno.
This is why God has these rules.
I zbog toga Bog ima ova pravila.
And then how do you feel when someone lies to you?
Kako se ti osjećaš kad neko laže tebi?
There was a survey taken about how people feel when they get lied to.
Istraživali su kako se ljudi osjećaju kad im neko laže.
And the number one answer
I broj jedan odgovor je bio,
was that they feel stupid.
a broj jedan odgovor je bio da se osjećaju da su glupi.
I'm too fast. They feel stupid. Do you ever feel that way?
Da li se ti osjećaš da si bio glup
When someone lies to you?
kad ti neko laže?
I cannot believe that I trusted them.
Ne mogu da verujem da sam ti verovao.
I can't believe that I thought it was okay to follow them.
Ne mogu da verujem da je bilo okej da sledim tu osobu.
And you get mad at yourself.
I naljuti se na sebe kako te neko prevario.
I get mad at myself.
Ja sam ljut na samog sebe.
And so the trust is now broken between me and whoever that was that lied to me.
I sad dolazi do prekida poverenja između mene i one osobe koja me je lagala.
I have grace for them,
Ja imam milosti prema njima,
but I don't trust them.
ali ne verujem više.
Is anyone else like that, or is it just me?
Da li se bilo ko osjećaš slično?
So this lying goes back to trusting.
Tako da ovo laganje je povezano sa poverenjem.
The trust has been broken.
Poverenje je slomljeno.
God knows that this will happen because He's designed us the way we are.
I Bog zna da će ovo da se desi zato što nas je On dizajnirao.
So He says, do not lie.
I onda On kaže nemoj da lažeš.
As an architect, I don't want your child to fall down through the stairs and get hurt.
Kao arhitekta ja ne želim da tvoje dete može da prođe kroz ogradu stepenice i da padne dole.
So I design my building so that that won't happen.
Tako da ja dizajniram svoju zgradu da spreči takve stvari.
God does the same thing for us.
I Bog radi istu stvar za nas.
So what happens in your brain when you lie?
Šta se dešava u tvom umu kada lažeš?
I'll go through these. You're going to have fun with some of these. So
Like verses or?
no.
All right.
There's a great deal of activity in the regions of your brain associated with emotion.
Znači, postoji velika količina aktivnosti u mozgu koja je povezana sa emocijama.
There's an area of your brain called the amygdala.
Ima deo u mozgu koji se zove nešto kako? Amigdala, okay.
And
Pomagajte ljudi.
this part of the brain is affected when you lie.
Ovaj deo mozga je pod uticajem kada ti lažeš.
So the more that you lie, the less activity in that portion of your brain.
Što više lažeš, manje aktivnosti ima u tom delu mozga, u amigdali. Okay.
And the brain can adapt to bad stimuli.
Mozak može da se adaptira negativnim stimulansima,
like loud noises or frightening images.
recimo snažna buka ili strašne slike.
So as it adapts, it makes those less intense.
I kako se mozak adaptira, ti manje intenzivno doživljavaš te negativne stvari.
As you lie, it makes it easier and easier for you to do bad things.
I kako lažeš, mozak se adaptira, jel, i tebi postaje lakše i lakše da radiš loše stvari.
So lying shapes not only the outside world as it affects other people, but it also affects the inside of who you are.
Tako da tvoje laganje ne oblikuje samo spoljašnji svet, ne utiče samo na ljude kojima lažeš, nego oblikuje i tebe samog.
So that's just in your mind.
To je samo tvoj mozak kako funkcioniš.
What about the body?
Šta u vezi tela?
What happens to your body when you lie?
Šta se dešava tvom telu kada lažeš?
Constant lying is associated with an array of negative outcomes.
Konstantno laganje je povezano sa celim spektrom negativnih ishoda.
Including high blood pressure,
Visok krvni pritisak,
increased heart rate,
povećani broj otkucaja srca
and elevated stress hormones.
i povišeni nivo hormona stresa.
So when you lie, it's like a fireworks display going off in your body.
Kada lažeš, to je kao da se vatromet aktivira u tvom telu.
All of these things that like a fireworks are great to see, right?
Vatromet je lepo da vidimo. Jeli?
All these colors are beautiful,
Sve ove boje i sve to divno.
but after so many minutes, it becomes too intense.
Ali posle nekog vremena može da postane ok, ovo mi je dosta. Ovog mi je dosta.
And we have to understand that they are dangerous.
I mi treba da razumemo da vatromet je opasan u stvari.
They look beautiful, but there's danger behind that explosion.
Oni lepo izgledaju, ali postoji opasnost iza te eksplozije.
And it comes back to this idea of truth creating trust.
I sad vraćamo se na tu ideju da istina proizvodi poverenje.
God's design for us is to protect us and also to protect those in whom we have contact.
Božji dizajn i način na koji nas je on stvorio jeste da, kad je računao dizajn, jeste da zaštiti nas, ali i da zaštiti one druge sa kojima smo mi u odnosu.
And sometimes we don't understand God's rules,
I nekada mi ne razumemo Božja pravila,
but we need to understand there's a reason for them.
ali treba da razumemo da postoji razlog iza njih.
He does it for us.
On postavlja pravila za nas.
We think they're limiting maybe sometimes,
Mi mislimo da nas pravila ograničavaju,
but He knows that they're there to protect us.
ali pravila su tu u stvari da bi nas zaštitila.
So I'm going to shift gears into another way in which God works in the details.
Sad ću malo promenim brzinu i da vidimo drugi način na koji Bog radi u detaljima.
So this beautiful brown car here
Ovo je predivan prastari primjerak automobila.
looks exactly like one I owned.
Znači, ovakav auto sam ja imao davno u Americi.
This is not
Here in Bulgaria or?
no, in the U.S.
Ok, u Americi još.
This is not my car, but it looks exactly like my car.
A ovo nije moj auto, nije slika mog auta, ali je isti ovakav auto sam ja imao.
Even the little trim that's missing on it, my car was missing that too.
Čak i ova, kako se zove, spoilera sa strane, guma na vratima što fali. I meni je falila ta guma. Zaštitnik taj šta je.
So fortunately, when I owned this car,
I srećom, kad sam ja imao ovaj auto,
I was already married.
već sam bio oženjen.
Because I don't think I would have been able to find a woman to go with me if I had this car.
Jer nisam siguran da bih bio u stanju nađem ženu da sam došao da je pokupim na sastanak s ovim autom.
So one day I was driving this car on the highway,
Jednog dana ja se vozim ovim autom na autoputu
and it had been raining.
i padala je kiša.
And so as you're driving on the road, spray comes up from the road from other cars.
I dok ti voziš na putu, od auta ispred tebe, gomila vode se diže s asfalta i pada na, kako se zove.
So I had my wipers going.
Dakle, moji ovi brisači su radili.
But every time they went, they would make a weird noise.
Ali svaki put kad su radili, čulo se ono škripanje.
It's like,
Taj zvuk. Ne trebam ga prevesti na srpski.
So I said a prayer.
I onda sam se ja pomolio.
And I said, God, can you please stop my windshield wipers from making this weird noise?
And he stopped the wipers.
Keep going, you gotta keep going with the story.
Ja sam se pomolio, Bože, možeš nekako da sprečiš ove brisače da me tako iritiraju sa ovim škripanjem.
And right after I said that prayer,
I tog momenta kad sam se ja pomolio,
I thought in my head,
you can do the
okay,
longer.
I thought in my head, this is the stupidest prayer.
Pomislio sam u glavi, onako, ovo je najgluplja molitva.
God has much bigger things to worry about than my wipers.
A Bog ima toliko puno stvari o kojima treba se brine, brisače.
And a split second after that went through my mind, the wipers stopped making the noise.
Ali sekund kasnije, pošto je to prošlo kroz moj brisači su stvarno prestali da škripe.
And they never made noise again.
I nikad više nisu napravili taj zvuk.
Because God is in the little details in our lives.
Jer Bog je u malim detaljima našeg života.
And He cares about us.
I on se brine za nas.
And it says in Matthew 6:8. You can, I don't know, can you just translate that there? Or?
Just say it.
Yeah.
Aha. Jer Otac zna naše potrebe i pre nego što mi to tražimo od njega. Matej 6:8.
He knows what we need.
On zna šta nam je potrebno.
Because He knows about the little details.
I on zna svaki mali detalj.
So now the question is,
Dakle, sada pitanje je...
what does Facebook and American coaching book have in common?
Sada je pitanje šta Facebook i američko uputstvo za treniranje fudbalera u američkom fudbalu, šta imaju jedno sa drugim. Znači, ovo je knjiga, pravilnik za treniranje sportista u američkom fudbalu.
And this all comes from, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Sad, ovo što ću, this is what you will tell us.
Yeah.
Ovo što ću vam sad reći dolazi od lika koji zna lika i ja sam sve to čuo.
What it led to was me and my wife and family coming to Sombor to coach American football.
Can you rephrase the sentence?
So this all led through a contact. It led to us coming to Sombor.
Led to what led?
The Facebook, yeah, through Facebook. Through Facebook, I was contacted about, hey, is somebody interested about coming to coach football?
Yeah, that makes sense. Evo kakve veze ima. Ja sam trenirao somborski američki fudbalski klub koji se zove Celtis, a kako se to desilo, na Facebooku me neko kontaktirao da li bi ja došao ovde i trenirao klub.
And through these connections, through I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
A to se desilo tako što je neko znao nekog ko zna nekog ko zna nekog i ko zna mene.
My family and I ended up here in Sombor.
Ja i moja porodica smo završili ovde. Can I just put a pause? I Ivan je bio upetljen u sve to. To je, ne Ivan, pardon, Saša, izvinite, u to vreme, da.
And I'm going to go off a little bit, but I have to tell this funny story.
Malo ću da skrenem, jednu smešnu priču da vam ispričam.
So the person I was talking with here in Sombor,
da osoba s kojom sam ovde u Somboru razgovarao u vezi treniranja ovog kluba,
we talked a little bit about religion.
Malo smo pričali o religiji.
And he had some strange religious thoughts.
A on ima neku svoju verziju religije i religioznog razmišljanja.
And he told me, oh, you must meet my friend, he's a priest.
I on mi rekao, hej, moraš onda da sretneš mog drugara, on je sveštenik.
So I had in my mind pictured this kind of hippie guy with like long hair, a beard with like braids in it.
Yeah, the way he described.
No, that's what I thought. Just be the way he talked about them. This is what I
I
pictured in my
način na
head.
koji je on pričao to svom prijatelju svešteniku, ja sam očekivao nekog hipika sa dugačkom kosom, ono bradica u kikama i tako neki ludak.
Fortunately, that was not the case.
Srećom to nije bio slučaj.
Instead, I met Pastor Zoli.
Umesto toga sreo sam Zolik, no hair.
yeah, look at these pictures. That was us back then.
Da, i to je kad smo se mi upoznali.
How young we look.
Bili smo mnogo mlađi.
I had no gray
Was that
in my
like
beard.
2000?
Yeah, 2011.
2011.
No,
godine.
2012.
2012. godina, kad smo se sreli prvi put.
So, through this connection on Facebook,
Kroz ovu konekciju na Facebooku,
we were able to come here to kind of coach football, but really to point people to Jesus.
mi smo ovde došli da bi, trenirali američki fudbal, to jest bili treneri u američkom fudbalu, a u stvari naš najdublji motiv je bilo da usmeravamo ljude ka Hristu.
Coaching was my way into the community.
Treniranje drugih je način da jednostavno učestvujem u životu društva,
But my heart was to help point them to Jesus.
ali moje srce jeste da ih usmerim ka Hristu.
And we stayed here for 5 months.
Ostali smo ovde 5 meseci
And it was an interesting time, wonderful time.
i to je bilo veoma lepo vreme. I'm sorry, my knees are hurting me. Moja kolena malo već
And through this short period of time, back in 2012,
I kroz ovaj period od 5 meseci 2012. godine
we met Pastor Zoli and Tanya.
sreli smo Zoltana i Tanju.
Many of you were here then.
Mnogih od vas se sećamo još od tada.
We became ministry partners and friends.
I mi smo postali prijatelji i partneri u službi.
And we used to come probably once a year. We would come to Sombor after that.
I pošto smo odavde otišli u Bugarsku, mi smo nastavili da dolazimo, da se vraćamo u Sombor otprilike, jednom godišnje.
And that eventually led to us moving here from Bulgaria in 2022.
I to je na kraju dovelo do toga da se mi 2022. godine preselimo ovde u Sombor.
And this has led to more opportunities here
A to je
to
dovelo
point people to Jesus.
do novih prilika da usmeravamo ljude ka Hristu.
Because of that little detail back then,
Zbog jednog malog detalja tada, davno,
how God had prepared the way for us to come here.
Bog je na ovako povezao stvari i doveo nas je ovde u Sombor.
This has allowed us again to point people to Jesus.
I to nam je omogućilo da usmeravamo ljude ka Hristu.
If you want to know Psalms 139, 1 through 4.
Psalm 139 od 1 do 4. Jahve, proničeš me svega i poznaješ. Ti znaš kad sednem i kada ustanem. Iza leha ti već misli moje poznaješ. Hodam li ili ležim, sve ti vidiš, znani su ti svi moji putevi. Reč mi još nije ni na jezik došla, a ti, Jahve, već sve znaš.
The Lord cares for each one of us.
Bogu je stalo do svakog od nas.
He's in all of the details of our lives.
On se nalazi u svakom detalju našeg života.
Sometimes we don't always understand them,
Mi ih nekad ne razumemo uvek,
but if we have patience and wait on the Lord, the understanding will come.
ali ako mi imamo strpljenje i ako čekamo u Gospodu i čekamo na Gospoda, vremenom ćemo mnoge stvari i razumeti.
We need to understand the Lord's attention to detail is for us.
I treba da razumemo da Bog stavlja veliku pažnju na detalje i to radi za nas.
His design is created in such a way to protect us from ourselves.
On je dizajnirao stvari na takav način da nas zaštiti od nas samih.
I go back to the stair.
i da se vratim nazad na stepenice.
Why is it 102 millimeters and not 130 millimeters?
Zašto je maksimalan razmak 102 mm, a ne 130 mm?
It's only 28 millimeters,
To je samo 28 mm razmaka,
but that much difference could allow a child to fall through.
ali ta mala razlika dozvoljava da dete padne kroz ogradu.
What kind of details has God put out there for each one of us to
Koje-
not fall?
Koje detalje je Bog postavio u naše živote za svakog od nas pojedinačno da mi ne bi pali?
How many times has He fixed our windshield wipers?
Koliko puta je on popravio naš brisač?
How many times has He put a path before us for us to choose that leads to something wonderful and great beyond anything we could imagine?
Koliko puta nas je on pozvao na neki put da ga odaberemo, da bi nas odveo u nešto dobro?
There's joy in finding God in the details.
Nalazi se radost u tome da tražimo Boga u detaljima, dobijamo radost.
Remember that He is in the details of your lives.
I zapamti da Bog se nalazi u detaljima tvog života.
He's in the little things
On se nalazi u malim stvarima
and He's in the big things.
i on se nalazi u velikim stvarima.
But what's important is we have to follow them.
Ali ono što je bitno jeste mi treba da ih pratimo.
We have to understand
Sledimo.
that this Bible, yes, I do need it, that this Bible, there's a purpose and a reason behind it.
Treba da razumemo da postoji svrha i razlog za stvari koje su napisane u
And
Bibliji.
it's not just a bunch of don't do this, don't do that.
I Biblija nije gomila ne smeš ovo, ne smeš ono.
There's a heart behind it.
Iza teksta Svetog pisma se nalazi Božje srce.
God's heart behind it for each one of us.
Božje srce za svakog od nas pojedinačno.
Because He loves us.
Zato što nas on voli.
Remember that as you look at this cross today.
Zapamti to dok gledaš danas na ovaj krst.
The details of Christ's death
Detalji Hristove smrti
and His resurrection
i njegovog uskrsnuća
and our victory in Him.
i naše pobjede u njemu.
And all started with a little detail, right?
I sve to počelo sa malim detaljom.
If you go back to Genesis
Ako se vratiš nazad u knjigu Postanka
and you read where the Lord curses the serpent,
i čitaš da je Bog proklinje zmiju,
there's a prophecy there about him biting the heel.
i tamo se nalazi proroštvo o tome da će potomak da skrši glavu zmije, ali da će zmija da ujede potomka za petu.
And then stomping on its head.
Yeah, I just
okay,
said.
got the whole thing. That's Christ.
To je Hrist.
It's a small little detail at the beginning of the Bible.
To je jedna mala rečenica, jedan mali detalj na početku Svetog pisma.
And you follow that throughout and you find Christ.
Ali taj detalj, jedan mali detalj, jako puno znači jer on vodi u stvari do Hrista.
So just think today
I samo razmišljaj danas
about all the ways God has been in the details.
na sve te razne načine na koji je Bog bio prisutan u tvom životu, u tim detaljima.
And think how He's going to be in the details for your future.
I kako će on biti prisutan u detaljima za tvoju budućnost.
Because He'll continue to be there for you.
Jer on će nastaviti da bude tu za tebe.
Oh, let's pray.
Hajde da se molimo.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for being in the details.
Nebeski Oče, hvala ti što se ti nalaziš u detaljima.
We are thankful that you care so much for us, that you think of all of the little things and the big things.
Hvala ti što je tebi toliko stalo do nas da ti misliš o svima velikim i o svima malim stvarima.
And Lord, I just pray that you will help remind us that you are always in control.
I molim se da nas podsjetiš da si ti uvek u kontroli.
And that we can trust you even when we don't always understand.
I da mi možemo da se pouzdajemo u tebe čak i kada te ne razumemo.
Thank you. Amen.
Hvala ti. Amen.